People hold on very tight to the things that they're comfortable with in life. Sometimes you just need to walk away. Your dead-end job, you're like, well, they pay me. They're never going to promote you. They don't like you. You should quit. Your toxic friend from high school, you're like, yeah, but we've always been good friends. You're like, she's never going to fuck you. Stop talking to her. Your dumb cargo shorts that you used to wear to Limp Bizkit concerts and now you just look like a pedophile at a Taylor Swift concert. Get rid of it. Start over. Our guest today is a person who really knows how to hit the reset button. He's a former NYPD cop. He's a comic. And just recently, he moved out to Las Vegas to do a bunch of other shit I never saw coming. It's a great, hilarious guy, Mark DeMayo. I've known him for a very long time. And this is a bit too much.
Most people don't know this because this is how important you are to show business. But I haven't been around for over a year and a half.
I feel like I was missing something. I was missing something in my life, but I didn't know what it was. And that makes sense now.
Yeah, I moved out to, I got an offer, an opportunity to move out to Vegas. And had it happened a day earlier or a day later, I might have said no. It's just... that day when they asked me, it was like perfect. So what I do is I work for a laborers union out here doing their social media.
Oh, okay.
And their marketing, I guess.
Yeah,
I write. It's a big union, and we do a lot of commercial spots. We have a lot of we sponsor a lot of stuff. So I write copy for our commercials. Like I said, I take care of the social media. I'm always creating, like right now I'm in the middle, we're doing a boxing thing here.
Okay.
Battle of the trades. So it's electricians versus all the unions, carpenters versus laborers.
I know that's thematic, but I think you should actually make them fight.
No, they're going to fight.
They're going to fight. Oh, it's like a real boxing tournament?
Yeah. And I'm doing I'm like, for our end of it, for our union, I'm doing like these vignettes for our guys. None of them who are like real boxers. Maybe I haven't met one yet that has any amateur stuff on it,
right,
in their past. But they're all gonna get in the ring and slug it out. It's like a tough enough type of thing, except you're fighting another trade.
They might not have boxing skills, but usually there's a lot of rage in those guys.
Well, they're mostly Mexicans. So it's kind of sort of in their blood anyway.
It's in their blood. They could fight. Yeah.
Yeah, like for some guy who never threw a punch before, I mean, these guys, I could show you video. But you know what's interesting is when you get used to using all this software for editing, how you can speed it up a little bit. So a lot of them, like just by speeding it up a little bit, it looks like they're freaking great boxers. Like, holy crap. I don't think anybody's going to show up to fight us, to tell you the truth.
Is that Canelo Alvarez?
He's like, if I just copy and paste their faces over a real boxing match, people are going to be blown away.
But dude, how did that happen? Because since I've known you, I can't remember. I was just telling I can't remember when I met you if you were retired from NYPD yet, right? Yeah. So I'm talking probably like
I was probably still
17, 18 years ago. You were probably still on the job.
Yeah, I retired 12 years ago.
Okay.
And, I had every intention of just staying retired and just doing comedy full time and whatever acting gigs I can get. And then the comedy gods let me know that I'm probably going to have to get a part-time thing.
Was it the comedy gods or a collection agency?
They've let a lot of us know that.
They let us know it every time. But
so then I got a gig, a couple of, just doing the New York hustle, the East Coast hustle.
Yeah.
And I was doing that for all those years. And I don't know, something happened. I guess it was like during the pandemic where we had that downtime.
Yeah.
And then you start realizing how hard you're working and like how many things you have. Like you just like, you don't realize how close you are to financial catastrophe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. When you're put in a situation where you can't do anything, you can't go out there and do what you, because, you get so in the grind that you just like, you're going, right? You're trucking along, I gotta do this, you're always like thinking 7 steps ahead, and then you gotta slow shit down at some point, and you're like, oh. You reevaluate things, you know? Dude, I had a kid during the pandemic, so it was like I had that double because the kid also makes you do that, you know?
Yeah.
You know, when you're like at home in those first few weeks of your kid, you're like, the fuck am I doing to myself?
Yeah. That was an interesting time to have a baby. I would imagine it scared the hell out of you because you don't know what's going on. Nobody knew what really was going on in the beginning.
What's going on? We're not really working much. You're, you know, and the health scare of it. I didn't want to take her outside. It was like, you know, it's like put her in a stroller. It was like the dead of winter. Everyone's got a mask on. I was like, oh my God, I just had my fucking baby during the apocalypse. Like,
yeah, I was surprised by the people who conceived during the pandemic.
Apocalypse is a good time to fuck, though.
Well, I get it's a good time to fuck, but it's a better time to pull out. Like,
yeah.
Like,
the result
you want to bring a kid into, like, you didn't know if it was going to be Road Warrior in a couple months. Like, why would you want to bring a kid into that?
On the other side of it, you got a lot of time, you know, so it's cool because,
you know, the age. I'm 10 years older than Ken and probably way older than you, Carmelo. But that made a huge difference too, because at that point, you know, you start thinking about the future, right? Comedy is so much a part of our identity, by the way.
Yeah.
That it really is a mind. I mean, just if you think about what I did, it's just a mind. Just wrapping my hands around it. I like experiments. I like putting myself in new situations. Moving out to the West Coast was a no-brainer. Why not?
Yeah,
you know
well, you know, I think there's a type of person who can do that, and I think there's a lot of people. I would say the majority of people cannot. The idea that there's people who will stay in a dead end job for 20 years if the job will keep them that long, even though it's miserable and they hate it, because it's so hard for people to let go of where they're content. And, you know, since I've known you, if you think about it, like, I guess you weren't retired yet, you were still on the job, but you were doing comedy. And that's like, so you have a full career. You did 25 years on the job? Is that 20?
20, yeah.
Got it. So you did 20 years on the job, right? That, for most people, that's it for them. Maybe they retire and they do some like side work, you know, some like blue collar side work, right? Like a lot of retired cops where they go into security or there's like more of a, and those things kind of connect. Like, okay, you're retired, you have a little time in your hands.
I don't think you had a second career. Like just based on the retirement money that I got.
Yeah, right.
It's a nice addition.
Right.
To your
something
income
coming at all times.
You know, it's like a little thing you could fall back on, or it helps you. It probably might even bump you up into maybe getting an extra vacation, a nicer car, but you still got to do something. You know?
Yeah, but you did comedy. That's not a typical.
No, I know. But even that, maybe it's just me. I don't handle money well. You know what I'm saying? I love prostitutes and cocaine. It's not, you know, it's.
You've got to afford all that shit.
Yeah. No. So moving to the West Coast was a no-brainer, right? But it's also, once I just figured in my mind, once I got here, I'll just pick up where I left off. And then once I got here, I just kept pushing it back. It'll be like, I'll start. I didn't want to do anything right away because I wanted to get my feet wet with this job that I had. Then the longer I didn't get on stage, the happier I was.
Really? You just sounds so, we're so jealous here. Well, so, and you don't like that. You feel like that desire to do it is just kind of like you didn't expect it to fizzle out, but it did.
It was kind of building up a little bit while I was there, but I just really didn't have a choice. And over here, since I make enough money where I don't really need extra money to make things happen, it just became like, because I don't like, if you could just take me and drop me on stage, no problem. But especially since all the driving we did on the East Coast, which I would imagine is going to be over here. Plus the gigs aren't even nearly as good over here. I'm not in LA. I'm in Las Vegas.
Yeah,
so
right.
The comedy scene here is just like, it's really, I don't know. I shouldn't.
Well, they're in the hotels, right? Like it's not like you're going club to club. It's like they're in other venues, and there's some clubs, but like
there's quite a few clubs. They're in the hotels though.
They're in the hotel. Yeah.
I think most of them are like they rather fly people in than use local talent, because I don't think there's a lot of local talent here. There's a few from the East Coast,
Right.
but I would imagine you're schlepping back and forth to LA a lot. And
Yeah, right. It's not a place you go for.
You want to go in a place and be like after you do it for 25, 27 years, do you really want to go into reintroduce yourself somewhere? As for a guest spot so you can watch me? Like, fuck you, man.
Yeah, you got to get past at all these new places.
How about going on the internet and fucking picking one of the many TV spots that I did and just look at it?
Just watch it.
Why do I have to jump through hoops? Not that anybody made me do that. You know what I'm saying? It was just that was like already what I had anticipated that I might have to go through, and I just didn't want to. I think
you're right, dude. I think you're absolutely right. I think that's exactly how it was. It's like you have all this stuff out there. You have a body of work. You have people, vouching for you, and then they're like, "Oh, well, you got to come here on a day," and then the guy doesn't even show up when they book you. Like, how many times does that happen to you? Where you're like, early on, you're supposed to get you want to get past somewhere, and then the person who's supposed to watch you doesn't even fucking show up.
It's maddening. There is so much maddening shit that goes along with comedy. I remember sending a tape to a producer once. Mm-hmm. I sent it to him. I'm not making this up. He didn't get back to me for a year and a half. And then a year and a half, I get an email back, and I'm like, I didn't even remember who it was. And he was like,
"That's fucking."
He was like, "This was a pretty good tape, but you cursed a few too many times. Can you send one without cursing?"
How about this?
And I'm like, "Can you just fucking imagine that I didn't curse?" Like,
right. Yeah, but also if you're getting back a year and a half later, and all your feedback is just constructive criticism as opposed to come back.
Right.
Just don't even get back in touch.
Right,
I think if somebody was like, "Hey, I'm going, I'm taking orders for lunch," and then I was like, "Wait, hold on a second, hold on. I don't want anything." You didn't need to fucking say it.
No, but also, can you just trust that if you tell me not to curse, I won't curse?
Yeah. Right.
In all fairness, when I first got here, I had a couple of gigs still booked, and here. So Greg Wilson also took me out. I don't know if you know Greg. And I met him one night. It was a show, 12:30 show at the West Point. Mm-hmm. And it started at 12:30. So right off the bat, I was getting used to East Coast, West Coast time. It was 3:30 in the morning for me there. Yeah, they're like, "Do you want to do a guest spot?" I was like,
"This is when you first got out there." This is when you first. Okay.
Yeah, I said maybe next time. I'm ready for bed right now.
Yeah.
But what I really was doing was I was getting used to distancing myself from it and trying to learn to live without it. It's so, like I mentioned earlier, it's so much of our identity. Imagine not being able to tell somebody, "Oh, I'm a comic." What do you do? "Oh, I'm a comic." You know what I'm saying? Or even using my real name from that point on. It's like a mind fuck. So I was just I dove into it, and I figured, you know what? Let's see what happens for how long I can take it. Now after a year and a half, I'm missing New York. I'm missing the East Coast. Not like everybody misses food. I miss knowing that there's a body of water somewhere nearby.
Yeah.
There's no freaking
you miss
water
New York,
here, bro.
New York, not necessarily.
Well, just knowing you can go to the beach in an hour. You can get to any beach. You can get to a beach in an hour. There's no water here. Do you know what it's like to leave your house? It's 115 degrees, and if shit hits the fan, I can find a body of water and jump in. When they take that away from you, when there's
I like
no
that your whole MO was how do I if an emergency happens, how do I leave land?
No, I'm Mark. I'm with you 100%. I don't think I can ever live anywhere that's not near an ocean.
Yeah.
I need. But it's just not even for jumping in. It's just something so calming and soothing about it.
Yeah. Knowing, for example, when you leave your apartment or your house in New York or in Jersey, somewhere on the East Coast, right? And you open a door. It's a beautiful day. You have three feelings. First of all, it's this sucks. It's such a beautiful day. I have to go to work or do something I don't want to do.
Yeah, sure.
The second one is this sucks because now I'm going to feel guilty that I didn't go to the beach today. Mm-hmm. Or this sucks because now I have to get all my shit ready to go to the beach. But
I gotta drag my fucking kid's giant bag of toys to the goddamn beach.
Yeah, an hour to get there. If you know what I'm saying, the most. And then it's like all the crap that you got to bring with you. So, but at least
But every scenario sucks.
it's there. You could smell it. It's in the air. Like there's a purpose for the hot weather. You know what I'm saying? Even if you can't enjoy it today, at least you know. But over here, as soon as you open the door, it's like for 2.5, 3 months, it's going to be so hot you can't believe it. And then there's no going to the beach. I mean, you can go to the lake. There's lakes here. I've been to the lakes. I mean, if like the lakes, I was thinking like Orchard Beach. If it like it's the lakes here are like if. Did you ever go to Orchard Beach?
Yeah. I know.
Okay, it's like Orchard Beach is like Cairns or like a beach in Greece. That's what compared to these lakes. Like you're in like if you go to Orchard Beach, you're in Greece you're in Santorini compared to these lakes.
I wouldn't have been expecting otherwise in the desert. To be honest, like I didn't know there were lakes.
Yeah,
maybe I'm dumb. That was shocking to me that you said that there were lakes there.
Oh, the worst part is when you go, you could look at the rocks, and then somebody will tell you, "You see that the why the rocks is different?" I'm like, "Yeah, I see the different color because the water used to be all the way up there." Oh. I'm like, "Oh, that's good to know." When? Like 100 years ago? Nah, like 5 years ago it was up there.
It was like that in September.
We are rapidly drying out over here.
Your eyes dry out. You wake up in the middle of the night, and like I have water next to me all the time. Your eyes dry out. You're like, why am I tearing all the time? Right?
Yeah.
And you're tearing because your eyes are dry. It doesn't even make any sense. But I was constantly tearing. It says,
I'm worried about you now. You're constantly being dehydrated.
Yeah, but forget it. But you the tan. You're like I always have color. Like, and my quality of life is so much better. Like I have a house.
You do look great. I gotta say.
Thanks, appreciate it.
You look great. You look like a tanned accountant in that office. Very happy. Or like a lawyer. I
have a nice house that I live in now. I was living in a basement apartment in the Bronx. Now I'm in a nice house, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. I got a pool. So, I mean, my day basically is I can't wait to get home and jump in the pool every day. That's what I do.
Yeah. So, it's fascinating to me, though, that this is like, or I mean, unless it's more, because I don't know your whole history, but like, it's like, this is like your third life.
Yeah.
In a way, right? Because you had a full career as a cop, and you were you in the Bronx when you were NYPD?
No, I worked mostly in Manhattan. I worked Queens, Manhattan, and then I ended up in Brooklyn. But in Brooklyn, I was inside.
Gotcha. And so you put in 20 years there, and then comedy in New York is a whole second life. I mean, those two together are already worlds apart. Even though you're in New York.
Are they? So I feel like you're dealing with psychopaths every day, no matter which.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like I'm talking, the regiment and schedule and the jobness of being a cop, right? And to go into like, just hopping around clubs at night, it's like not a job, like there's such a difference between a job and that in terms of like, I have to be into work at this time and my schedule and overtime and all that stuff. And it's like, you could just not in comedy. I don't feel like it today. You could just do, you could just kind of do that,
Yeah, I know. It's interesting because I always wanted to try different stuff. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I would try it. And if I liked it, I just kept doing it and doing it and doing it. That's how comedy came. That's how acting came. I was into bodybuilding for a number of years. I tried boxing. I was a dancer when I was a kid. So many things I tried. I just stuck to it if I really liked it.
Right.
And I'm competitive, so I like to try to become really good at it. You know what I'm saying? And then this was just something this was like brand new. Like I'm 50. I was 55. I'm like, I lived in the East Coast my whole life. Why not try the West Coast? Why not try see what life is like there? And then, you only live once. Why not try to get it all in as much as possible? So I did. And it's much different. Like over here, like when you see something, when you start talking to somebody over here and you realize they're from the East Coast, the bond that is created, it's just like everybody else. Everybody else is blocked out. Like I saw this dude. I went to a this function that we had for work, and it was like at the shooting range, and we were shooting. I do so many of the coolest things here. That's another thing, by the way, that there's so much to do here. I've done more here because when you're doing comedy, you never can do anything else. Like every weekend you're booked.
Yeah, that's your home. That is, your nightlife is your job.
Maybe when you're doing comedy.
So I'm just sitting.
I still have plenty free weekends.
So I'm just sitting in my room. Just like, hey, I was pretty bored right now.
Well, you know what I mean, though. I mean, it's like you got to say,
especially in the city.
A lot of times when people you're booked already, and that's when somebody says, "Hey, man, I got 2 tickets to the Rangers. You want to go?"
Yeah.
Tonight. Like I'm fucking. But here I have so many concerts. We sponsor a lot of. We sponsor the Raiders. We built Raiders Stadium, but we sponsor all the stadiums here, and so we have a suite in Raiders Stadium. We have the union does, not me, but so many different things that we sponsor here. So I get a chance to go to a lot of them. A lot of them I have to go to for work to document it. So yeah, it's like the coolest thing in the world. I lost track, but.
And you're going, so you're going to just go down the middle of the desert and shooting shit sometimes.
Oh, so we went out there and we were shooting the thing. I forgot why I brought that up, but that was a cool thing to do. Like I never really.
You're just bragging that you have a life.
You met an East Coaster while you were shooting.
Oh yeah, so me and this guy started talking right after on one of the breaks, and we hit. We immediately we were just like we were hitting it off. We're like, where are you from? Because you always tell, because it's always somebody that's a little bit smarter than like, because you feel like you're like just like the smartest person around.
It's like a quickness,
it's not
right?
True, but it's,
no, it's not like in a superior way.
Is. I'm kidding. I was trying to be nice. It is. It's way.
No, I'm better than everyone. Yeah. But it's like a sharpness. It's a city sharpness. And I think you get that out of a lot of cities, especially out in New York. It's like even if the person is not on the books the most intelligent, like they're street smart or they're just like sharp because they're just used to life fucking hitting them in the face every 2 minutes.
You walk in the store, right? You're like, hey, buddy, what's going on? Let me get a pack of Marble Lights. And but before you say Marble Lights, you're like, hey, buddy, what's going on? They're like, huh?
Right. You like walk them up at it. Oh, it's so goddamn hot. Everyone's
don't try a joke. Because a lot of times you'll make a joke. That's what we do. We make little jokes here and there, and they're always like, "What? Oh, I'm sorry. What? So, did you say? Just forget it. Just forget the whole thing.
Just forget the small talk. I can't deal with.
I mean,
what you said about seeing another East Coaster and having that. I feel like that's the same thing that happens. Also, like when you're. If you're at a function you don't want to be on, there's another comedian there. You're like, at least I could talk to that person.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like you're like, at least I have something to say to that person. Because everyone else is talking about traffic and shit. And
there's a lot of cool people that grew up here and they're fine, but
you hate them.
You got to find them. It's like
you got to really find them. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's not like the East Coast where. Everybody's kind of sort of moving at the same pace. Over here, there's a huge drop off. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And that for an impatient, I would imagine this is the case in some other big cities too, but certainly for New York, it's like an impatience with small talk or interactions. Sometimes you like it's like when you have kids too, you meet like other dads, and then you bond with a few. You're like, okay, that person's on my level, and then the other dads, you're like, so what happened when you went to that store? And you're like, oh God, I got to talk to this guy now because we're watching our kids, eat sand together.
Yeah,
I gotta be here to So like when you're at a function and there's another, for you like East Coaster, or if there's there's another comic there, you're like, all right, I at least could. it's like a pace thing more so than it's not about being like hilarious. It's just like we can keep going. You know what I mean? Like it's nothing more frustrating, I think, to a New Yorker than somebody who like slows you down in conversation. You're like, I'm through that already.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes us like sick in the fucking head though. Does that make us like assholes to the rest of the country? Because
yes, yeah, of course.
Because that's like as I'm saying that, I'm like, oh, I'm the asshole. They're just being a nice person.
I was at Lowe's.
They're just
first of all, the department stores over here, they have like one person that does everything. So if you go like in a Lowe's, or like which is or what's the other hardware store? I was in a Lowe's, and this one guy, he's like, I don't know shit about light bulbs. I needed light bulbs, and I couldn't find the one I was looking for. Right, and I took a picture of it too. So I went to go ask the guy, but he's with a lady, and 3 days later, that's what it felt like. He finally was like, "Oh, can I help you?"
Yeah,
and you could hear me being like, "Oh my god!" And no, you could hear me like I'm standing like 25 feet away, and just like every time she starts pointing to another one, I'm like, "Oh my god!"
That's like that. You know, the New York equivalent of that is standing behind like an old person buying a lotto at a bodega.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
you know, it's like you're like, oh,
dollar
God,
straight, dollar box.
Yeah.
With
7, 12. You're like, oh God, how many goddamn numbers? You've been around a long time.
Don't you just want to scream and like, you're not gonna fucking win. Let me get my coffee.
Also, at this point, what do you do if you win? You know, these people are like 80 who are doing that. You're still playing a lot of
grandkids. That's what they're doing. They're playing for the
grandkids. They're playing for the grandkids.
Yeah.
No, not because they have like a serious gambling addiction.
Their life is so set they don't want to go anywhere or do anything. That's another thing. Like, you know, you'd be surprised what a couple of years does to you. Like between, 52, like after that, like the idea of going out at night right now, even though I'm in Vegas, to go down the strip, I'm like, I'd rather go to Times Square.
Oh,
right.
It's just there's nothing in me that wants to be walking through a casino right now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
If you do it, right? Let's say you go and there's like things are buzzing, or if you see a comedy club, do you go like, do you get the little itch, or are you just like, no? You know, do you get the like, oh, I kind of do miss that a little
only
bit.
When I think of it like a joke. Like I was before we got started actually recording, I was telling you about the 3-in-1. I'm sure everybody has that. Every guy has that joke probably, but I'm in the shower just dying laughing because, it's just the 3-in-1 makes so much sense. Like, cause like normally if you're using a body wash, you know what I'm saying? You got to stop at some point and then you got to get your face stuff and then do the face. With the 3-in-1, you could just, and then you like,
you just swipe from your balls up to your face.
You wash your ass, and then you just keep going. You just keep going.
I think you should still pause. I don't think you can't go still same motion from your balls to your chin.
You could, trust me. You could pause, or you could choose not to. But
as you said, you could choose it. Yeah, not that like stopping this and then doing something else is much different. But it makes me feel like a reset when I let go.
Yeah, you could flip. You could flip the. I don't know if you use whatever you use, a rag or I use.
You flip the other side.
Yeah,
I love that life has gotten so easy that you're annoyed at having to like
get more than one wash.
Like just pick up another bottle. Like
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I had a great uncle that stormed Normandy Beach. Like he's like he used his rifle as a pillow for months on end. And we're like, I don't really want to open 2 bottles in the shower. Can you just give me one thing?
Yeah, Mark's like, could you just fucking put me in like a container and hose me down?
Because it's all a scam, really. What's the difference between shampoo and soap?
What's funny as you're saying this? You know what I'm remembering, Mark? I don't know if you remember the show I had. I was producing. I had you come out in Atlantic Beach in New York. It was like a restaurant in that tent. You remember that?
Yeah.
In that tent. And before the show, you were saying that you were doing these like cold showers.
Yeah.
You still doing that?
Right now, it's hard to do it because the water.
You need the cold.
It's not as cold as it needs to be. Like I still do it.
he was doing these like cold showers, and I'm like, oh, so you just like take a cold shower? And he's like, no, I still like, then I turn it hot and I still wash myself. I'm not an animal. But I was like, I remember you saying that to me, and it was very funny.
Yeah, but I flipped it now. Now I'll wash myself first, and then I'd rather leave on a cold.
What does the cold do for you?
It rejuvenates you. I mean, for me, I suffer from inflammation, arthritis, and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. So it's just like a full.
Yeah, which is not that bad lately. I figured out how to grab a hold of it. But in the winter here, the pool, I have a thermometer in there. And man, sometimes like I nailed it for a couple of months there. I was in the 40s.
Yeah.
That's where you want to be. You feel like $1 million, man.
I remember you saying that, and now you're like, no. But I'm just saying, I see the evolution of Mark DeMayo. Now you're like, I just swipe. I want one wash from like this, and I want to be done with my shower.
Yeah, man, get right in there from the crack to your eyeballs.
You know, when you think about though, all you. Crack to your eyeballs. My friend, that's how you get pink eye. That is not a good idea.
Pink eye, now that you mention it.
but you can't tell because your eyes are so dried out that you don't know if you need Visine or if you have a severe.
Like, who gave you pink eye? I did.
Yeah, I did. I just can't. Once my hand starts moving in the shower, it's one.
How'd you get ass to mouth disease from washing?
Marcus ass to mouth with himself.
I showered.
Ass to mouth. Was that even a thing? Ass to mouth disease? It sounds like it was.
No, it's not a disease. Ass to mouth is is anal sex, and then you pull out and you get a blowjob after anal sex.
I think you're thinking of hoof and mouth.
No, well, hoof and mouth is for animals. Hand, foot, no. Hand, well, I know this because I have a kid, and it's Coxsackie is hand, foot, mouth.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Where you get sores on your hands, your feet, and your mouth because having a kid is fucking diabolical. And this is the kind of fucking thing your kid comes home with smallpox. Basically, they're like, "Oh yeah, we had a breakout of Coxsackie, which is I guess that was the doctor's name who classified the disease, and it's a hand, foot, mouth disease. It's what your kids gets like. It's like a virus that goes through, and you get fucking blisters inside your mouth, on your hands, and on the bottom of your feet, which are like the 3 fucking worst place to get blisters.
Yeah,
right.
Thank God, I don't think my kids ever had that.
My daughter hasn't had it. Her school has had outbreaks. We're like, oh god damn it. But like my daughter was born in the fucking height of like all these virus, she was born during the pandemic. And then if it was like we all locked ourselves inside, and then when we all came out, we all got all the other viruses. I spent a whole year sick. I had viruses, every fucking virus for like an entire year. My when we put her like back in daycare, she just brought home.
Yeah, that first year of daycare,
God.
I caught everything.
I was just fucking hawking up loogies for a full year.
Yeah.
It was probably about 8 months of just disease in the house, but it's like some nasty shit, man. There's like only kids get that. Like
I remember that the nebulizer going like crazy.
Yeah,
crack those little things, the little plastic thing, and then
the little vapor.
Squirt it in there, and then put it over my kid's face, having them breathe that in. Yeah,
because a kid will fucking sit still for that. I'm like negotiating fucking cookies to put a mask over her face, and I'm sick at the same time, so I'm doing it too.
Isn't that funny? You have to bribe them to keep them alive. Let me do this so you could keep living and you can have a cookie.
I mean, that's like feeding a kid. You're like, I made your favorite goddamn meal. And you're like, I don't like it today. You're like, oh god damn it. Yeah, you have to convince them to just keep them going.
Yeah.
It's amazing how well medicine works, because when you have a child, you could actually see it. You have a child that's like not playing. They're in the corner. They're like this. You touch them. They got you can see they have a fever. You give them 2 baby Tylenols. 5 minutes later, they're up. They're playing again like nothing happened.
Yeah.
You wear off. And then they just, like 3 hours later, they're going back to being sick again. And it's just amazing to watch.
And then as you get older, fucking nothing helps. Like everything you take, like if I feel horrible, like the medicine is not, you don't take it. It is funny. It's like the medicine's weaker back then, but I guess your resilience is better when you're a kid because you just bounce back and you're going, you know what I mean? Like you just play.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Sometimes I don't think they give you enough medicine, because if you really think about the way the doctors work, like when you go into a doctor's office and they ask you how much alcohol that you drink, like you're never on it. Like, what are you going to do? Like, I have probably 1 or 2 glasses of wine a week.
Yeah.
Like that's the allowance. When the reality is like I probably have a half a bottle of vodka a night. Because that's what really does the trick. So we're probably just not consuming enough medicine because they don't want us to, I don't know.
But isn't that
They don't
now?
wanna be
Like, I feel like they
responsible.
used to give us so much more medicine.
Yeah.
They used to describe antibiotics for fucking everything. They're so reluctant with medicine now. I mean,
remember like the days when they would just give you so much Vicodin and Percocet?
yeah.
The good old days.
Yes.
Yeah, and then they pull it away all at once, and everyone
Now
got a
it's
heroin
like,
addiction.
Here's
you know?
a prescription for 2 Vicodin.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, that should
2
do the trick.
Vicodin.
Yeah,
I know. I remember.
They give them to you.
I tore this bicep and I tore this tricep. They're like old bodybuilding injuries. I was still a cop, and I remember like I went and I got drug tested, right? And you have to write down every prescription that you're on. Mm-hmm. So I wrote down that I had this. It wasn't Vicodin, but it was the generic one, hydrocodone.
Oxycodone.
Yeah, that thing, right? So I wrote that down, and they're like, "How long have you been using this?" And I'm like, well, I don't know, like 2 years, because I had this surgery, and then I had this one. I need to. So over 2. They're like, you can't be using this on if you're on full duty. I says, well, I don't take them when I'm at work. I said, when I'm at home, I want to relax. I got a bourbon, 2 of these. I'm fucking good.
Did you tell them that?
No, but that was the truth.
Yeah. Yeah, that's when you really fucking coasting.
People are like, you shouldn't drink on those. I'm like, no, you should.
No, have you done it?
Definitely should. But
you most certainly should.
You need to experiment and learn what works for you. I remember I got all 4 of my wisdom teeth out at the same time, and my ex-wife, they gave me a full bottle of Percocet, and I sat home the entire weekend with ice on my face, and I was taking Tylenol. And
holding on.
Yeah, and my ex was like, I don't understand you. You're finally allowed to take Percocet, and you're not going to take them? And I was like, I'm not wasting them on pain. These are for when I feel better.
I know. Dude, have you ever had morphine? Have you ever used?
Yes. Yeah.
Dude, I got like
hospital.
Pretty. Yeah, right. Well, they don't prescribe it,
Right.
But I got like pretty sick last year, and I was in a hospital for like a week straight, and like the stomach issues that I had, and they were giving me morphine, and because I'm not like a big drug guy. Like I've not outside of like recreational things, and I like to drink and stuff. But like I understood how people were like, oh no, heroin erases everything. Yeah. Because it was that, like, I'm in excruciating pain. I'm like, God damn it, I need another hour before the morphine again. And granted, mine was out of pain, not out of it wasn't an emotional pain, it was a physical one. But but I could understand, because the second they come in, they're like, okay, it's time for the morphine. I mean, instantly wipes over you.
Yep.
Like gone. Yep. Pain. God. I was like, I still think about that sometimes. Anytime I have a little, I'm like, oh God, how great was that morphine hit? I still think about that shit all the time. It's fucking crazy what it does to you. And I was getting IV drip, obviously, and they're like, all right, here you go. You feel it go in your vein, and I'm like, oh, I understand heroin. I think I can understand how you would tell yourself that this is the solution to my problems, because they would just do that, and I'm like,
yeah. I had it for surgery. They gave it to me once, and it's like instantaneous.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, this is the greatest day of my life.
Yeah. And at some point they were like, we got to stop with the morphine, because they would have me on it for like a week. I guess it's just highly addictive. But when you said you were taking, those are the days when you could take Vicodin or whatever the generic is for 2 years. I don't even think that they don't even do that anymore, because of like, even if you really need it, They were
it
so
was
sparing
legit.
with
I
them.
mean, it was legit because I had the surgeries. But now you go and I used to get like it was 90 that came in a bottle.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Yeah,
and
90. Right.
Yeah,
They'll
it
give
was
you like
90.
5 now.
Yeah. Now they give you like 5. Yeah. It's like
They'll give you like a week or like a few days of it now.
I know it's a shame. The good old days, man.
Yeah, the good old days.
The 5. What am I going to do with 5? What am I going to do tomorrow? All right, you gave me 5. What am I doing tomorrow?
what am I going to do this afternoon?
Well, Ken's hoarding them for when he gets better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is going to be a fun night.
All drugstore cowboy on them,
So Mark, what's like, now you've got like, I feel like you transitioned into like, you have a job obviously and you're working hard. I don't know how hard you're working, but right, you've got like a low key normal life now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like where you didn't for a long time. If you think about the craziness of being a cop, going into comedy, I think as you're saying, and I'm thinking about that, I'm understanding like how in this point in your life you're like, I just want to fucking chill because that's a lot of years of kind of craziness.
Yeah, I try to explain it to people. Most people wouldn't realize the pace, the schedules that we keep, the amount of travel that's involved, the amount of, I don't know how you guys spend your day, but if I had a show at night, I don't care where you put me, I'm probably not going to really enjoy the day.
Yeah, your whole day is a lead up to the show.
I have to perform at night.
So
true,
you could
put me on a cruise ship. You could put me in Dominican, any place in the world. And I could enjoy it after the shows are over with and we got that extra day. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like it was always in the back of my mind.
It's not healthy. It really isn't. I think about it now only because I have a kid. I think about like how, I'm there, but like sometimes mentally you're not present.
Yeah.
And I feel guilty over that sometimes. I'm like with my kid at the park and you're right. I'm kind of just thinking about tonight, And that's bad. As a dad, you feel good. If I could think that when I'm out to dinner with my wife, that's fine. If I'm checked out a little mentally, so is she. We all got a lot going on. You don't really feel that guilty about that. But with your kid, you feel guilty about it. You're like, I'm not even here right now.
Yeah.
It was such a weird thing because I used to look at other comics. It seemed like, I guess I look normal too during the day. Like you ever get like a weekend with somebody and you're hanging out. Like the most normal that you can get is actually hanging out with another comic when you're on the road.
Yeah.
Because then you'd actually get normalcy. But if you're with your girlfriend or you're with just other people and they're like, you want to go whitewater rafting? And I'm like, no, I just want to sit in my room in the dark and wait for showtime.
Wait for the show. I gotta like. It's kind of the closest thing we have to Batman, right? It's like you're just like, I'm gonna just wallow around until I get to fucking put the bat suit on, and then that's the real me, Yeah. Everything else is a mask.
I guess for some people it comes naturally. It just seems like they could just like the people that don't drink or anything like that, and they just. Yeah, they go on stage. It's like, what's the matter with you? What's wrong with you?
I felt that I had Joe Fernandez on. Mm-hmm. I feel that way about Joe. I feel like Joe's a normal guy.
Yeah.
He's like a normal guy. He's like on his Instagram. He's like, look, I'm growing tomatoes in my yard. It's like he's got a normal life and he's a comic. And I think and he's also sober.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe that's the fucking key. Maybe that's the key. It's like to be, it's like maybe once you eliminate everything that goes along with the craziness of what we do. It's like all the elements of it.
I couldn't imagine getting sober to take a job that you're actually allowed to drink at. What I'm like? It's like we have a job where it's like you can show up drunk if you're on time and you're professional. Nobody cares what the fuck you're up to.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's what I said to him. I said, like, is that like just temptation constantly? And I talked to some other. I'm kind of fascinated. But no, I think for some of these guys, the only thing they feel like it takes out the social element because everyone's drinking together.
Yeah.
But I think obviously you got to weigh the fucking good and the bad with with addiction and stuff. But like, I think if you that's a guy who I think is like a normal guy and a comic, and that's very rare. I don't know. Everyone feels like every comedian's like, you're not It's like that part of your life and the other part of your life is just, it's kind of what you said. It's kind of like the rest of your life is just waiting to do that part of your life. And that's very unhealthy, I think.
It was for stand-up, that's the way I was. But for acting, it was different. I mean, I remember, working with an actress, and one day I saw her, like, before. I used to work in the police academy, and we used to do crisis intervention tactics.
Okay.
These professional actors, right? They all came from this acting studio, with the exception of me. I was an actor already, and I knew the guy who was putting it together, so we had worked together acting. So he gave me the job, right? But I saw this other actress, and she's breathing in and out, like, before the scenes, like, and I'm like, what's the matter? And she's like, nothing. Why? I said, because it looks like you're suffering. She goes, well, I get a little nervous. I said, do you enjoy acting? She goes, yeah, I love it. I said, it doesn't look like you do. It looks like this is too, like, and I guess for some, like, acting was no problem for me. I could do it. So I wouldn't want to drink before any acting gig or.
Yeah, that's different. Acting and comedy, you have to hit your exact lines.
You can't. With a comedy was personal.
Yeah.
If they didn't laugh at me, they didn't like me.
Right.
They didn't like me in a play or on a TV show. Well, that's the character. You didn't like the character.
Also, you don't get the instant feedback either. Like, you don't know if they're, while you're doing the job when you're acting, you don't really know what the result's going to be until you're way out of it and it goes through production. Yeah. When you're in the principal photography stage of a production, you're just doing the job. Comedy, 6 seconds in how it's going, Oh, yeah, And, there's a loneliness to that when it's not going well. You're like up there, you're in a room full of, it absolutely is personal. It doesn't just feel, but it is personal. They don't like you in that moment. Right in that moment, they don't. And you could have a drink up there because you're also talking about yourself. You also wrote, you're learning lines in acting versus your own. I mean, this is your life and soul you're pouring out. It's a much different thing. You probably shouldn't. I try not to drink before, anyway. I'll have a drink. But that's also because now I'm getting old and I just don't want to suffer the next day.
Yeah.
But I'll drink during and after. But I still feel like, obviously alcohol slows you down already. But I don't know. Did you drink a lot when you were doing shows like during?
Yeah. You know what I thought of that would be funny? Like, if you go and you grab one of their trays, that they bring the drinks around with. And you walk up on stage with a tray and there's like 3 drinks on it. And then you just put them down on your stool because those are going to be your drinks for your spot.
Like the bottles of water.
No, like 3 drinks of like bourbon.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? On the rocks.
Yeah. Right.
It's just, you walk up on stage like this, you just put them down on your stool, you grab the mic, and you just take one. It's just done. Because other than that, you're in the middle of your set, and you're going like this.
Yeah, you're like, come on.
Could I have it?
Yeah, and you don't walk up with 2 drinks at a time because everyone's going to be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
3, it looks weird. I think 3 would be ideal.
But I mean, like sometimes you see a comedy special and the opening shot is the stage with a stool and there's like 2 bottles of water.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like
just
that,
one
but
bottle
with
of
3
fucking
bourbons.
Yeah, you're just walking up on stage with all the liquor that you're going to be drinking for that 45 minutes. People are like, what? I bet you can't finish that bottle in 45 minutes. I bet you I can.
I bet you I can. So Mark, let's wrap this up. What's your next thing? Is this just you're just coasting? Is there a plan? Like, are you doing something? Like where you are right now, you just feel like good and content, and you're like, this is now like relax. This is my coasting.
No, something's got to give. I mean, eventually, at some point, right now, I'm gonna feel really comfortable about what I'm doing here, and then I'll be able to venture off. I had an idea for a one-man show that I wanted to do forever. And the plan was that once I got out here, I'll put it up in a black box theater and start from there. There's also a movie studio that's being built here, Mark Wahlberg's. And I'm dropping some weight. I'm going to do a new headshot. So I imagine they'll start casting over here.
You can't be out there with your fairer skin, long locks headshot anymore. You got to you have an updated look now. You're tan. You got the facial hair. You need the new headshot. But dude, you should have like one man shows are all about like, you know, those like it's got to be rich in what you're talking about. You've got like so much fucking life to talk about.
Yeah. I want to. That's the goal. Because to go every night and do stand up again, I'd rather just like go and be able to do my hour or whatever it's gonna be. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? At a theater, and that's it. And then come home after. The waiting is the part that when you get to a spot, and I was always somebody that was punctual. So if I look at the flyers, show times to 9:00. All right, if you're gonna headline the show, I'm still there at 9:00.
Right.
I want to get there like if I can, and so now you're waiting. So you're really waiting for like an hour and a half.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, till you go up.
And that was really getting to me. That pacing back and forth. You know, because I couldn't sit in the room and watch either. I'll peek in, 3 or 4 laughs, you know, but I can't watch.
Yeah, you don't want to sit there and
set.
Watch everyone. Yeah. Who wants that? Who wants to sit there and watch someone else when you're going to do yours? You got to get in your own headspace. When
I'm done, I could sit there and watch the rest of the show.
Yeah.
Like if you're in the city doing a spot, after my spot is done, I'll watch everybody's set. But before
it's almost like if you watch someone else before, you get sucked into their zone, and you got to be in your zone.
I do like it's. I like to watch a little though, like because I want to hear what the crowd's.
Yeah, but you're doing it as like research for when you go on. Like, I do that.
Like,
I want to just know the room, but I'm not like sitting there and watching a half hour of someone else.
No, the only way I am is if it's a good friend and they're bombing. Like then I will sit in the back and like nothing makes me happier than watching a friend bomb. It's like I always say like there's the only thing that's better than watching someone you hate bomb is watching someone you love bomb.
Right. You're like, I'm going to be able to use this on this person for.
You know, the other day, one of the things that's funny about not performing on the regular, you can't help people anymore, right? So you'll notice that it doesn't take a long time for you to call somebody, and then all of a sudden they're not picking up, or you send them a text message, and it's not because you're not friends anymore. It's just because, first of all, you're not in the world anymore, right? Yeah. And there's really nothing. You're not calling me for a gig. So I don't have this obligation to pick up. Right. Because you know as well as I do, even when it's an odd number, we're getting 1,000 odd numbers a day. You know, they're not, and you answer every single one if you're a comic. Like, hello, is this a gig?
Yeah. Somebody about to.
No, are you it's, you know, who are you voting for this year? I'm like, what? like you can't believe that people like you keep falling for it.
Right.
You keep thinking it's going to be a gig.
Yeah. And now you're like, I don't need to answer the phone. Right? Like I don't. Who's calling me? It's not my job.
Yeah,
it's not my job or my daughter. I don't have to answer the phone.
Well, now the comics, they don't answer me anymore. The ones that, you know, I thought were like, you know, we used to talk almost on a daily basis.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because now I don't have a gig for you. And it's not even that. It's just that, do you really want to hear stories from the other side? No, you can't. You're in your bubble. The only way you can exist is by pretending like this whole thing is a real thing. It's all revolving around you, and it helps you. It helps you keep moving forward. And somebody who's left it and still survives and can live, because like, how am I going to live if I wasn't a comic? How am I going to live?
Yeah.
What would I tell,
you need to
what would
be
I tell
so
people?
Deep. Right.
How am I important?
How am I
important to these people?
I'm just like a dude now.
You don't think other comedians want to hear about your labor union meetings?
No, not at all. Not at all. But
Mark's like, I pitched them labor union water bottles, and they loved it.
Yeah, I get it. I totally understand it. I do miss bullshitting with. That's why I was happy to do this. I miss bullshitting with other comics, and eventually, I have a feeling like something's going to happen. All these things, because I still write down. That 3-in-1 joke is killing in my head. Like if I could have just jumped out on stage from the shower to the stage, or if I had a show that night, I was opening with that.
Yeah.
Like
I was wondering with you, like if it was as you were saying that, if it was like it's just you whether this is just a new transition, you're trying something out, or if this is like I'm going to coast. I was talking to, do you guys know Craig Baldo?
Yeah.
Craig?
So, I remember Craig.
He was like, I just don't want to do it anymore. Like, I just don't have the desire. I don't need to. You know? And he like teaches stand up at like a university, and he writes and he does other stuff. But he just was like, I just realized over time I didn't need it. And I'm like, that must.
Oh, that's great.
That was kind of my reaction. I was like, that sounds kind of nice. Like, not feeling like if you don't do a show, like, what are you doing with yourself? You know, you feel like anxiety when you're not doing it. You feel anxiety for other reasons when you're doing it, and then you feel anxiety when you're not doing it. It's really fucked up. You know what I mean? Like the waiting and all that stuff when you're doing it, and then when you're not doing it, you're like, why am I not at a fucking club? You know, like, it drives you fucking crazy either way.
Every comic I've spoken to that's quit is happy, seems happier than at any point that I've known them.
Yeah.
And like Mark, what you were saying about if you can just get dropped on stage and do your spot and not have to deal with anything else.
Yeah, sure.
Like that's how,
everyone would do it forever if that was the case.
I just want to be like Forrest Whitaker in Fast Times, you know, like just fly me in for the game. Let me do my spot. All the other
the business side of it and the whole
it's
grind
crushing.
of it. Right.
The ride out to the gigs with other comics, that's also something's fun, you know.
Sure,
but
that's almost like a pre-show happening. You know, it's almost like a unfilmed podcast. You know, where you're like, you know, because you're bullshitting. That'll get you in the zone a little bit when you're talking to another comic before the show, because you're just two guys on vibrating.
Well,
on
that was another
level.
reason for looking in the room.
Yeah,
look in the room is like, you know, listen. The reason why the comedy would drain me all day just thinking about it wasn't really like, I'm not this like happy-go-lucky guy all the time. I get moments where I just want to slap the shit out of somebody. You know what I'm saying? like violence. I get my violence out, and then
that's you missing your cop days.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like, you don't know what it's like when you can't just shoot anybody whenever you want. It's if you can't just drag somebody, you know, and just beat the, you know,
I can't slam their head into the hood of my regular car.
How do I get this anger out of me now? You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Where do I go?
Yeah, and you know, and comedy does do that for you a bit, right? Like, you work it out. There's a lot that comes through you and relieves you when you're doing it. And if you don't, I these are the things I think about. I'm like, well, what if, like, you know, because I worked in advertising for a long time too, and that was like never scratched any itch. Like, that was just like a fucking job. Yeah. Even though I was a creative director. It was like creative, but it's still fucking corporate, and that always like killed my soul a little bit, you know. And then it was like, I just gotta get out. Like, I just gotta go to the gig tonight. I just always had to leave work to get to the gig, and then it was like, you know, I think about that sometimes. Like, what is another option? It's not a job. It's not a regular job. It's only like, I don't know, is it only this? Because like, what is, you know, like you said, like you got to a point where you were like, you know, going out to West Coast was a no brainer, and then, you know, eventually you're like, you're excited that you're trying a new thing, you know.
Yeah.
But there's a fear in that for a lot of guys. Like, trying a new thing means they're taking you away from the thing that is your whole identity.
Well, I know this. Yeah, I mean, I also know me. Eventually, something's going to catch on. Like, I picked up the guitar. I never played guitar or any instrument my whole life. And then all of a sudden, I bought an electric guitar and I started playing. And I played for I learned like 3, 4, 5, 6 months maybe.
Yeah.
And then I never picked it up again. It wasn't. I didn't enjoy. I sucked at it so bad, and I wasn't getting any better. Right. Like, it wasn't like I was getting like close to playing a song.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just sucks.
You learn like 3 notes and you're like, this is fucking hard. My fingers hurt.
But that's good that you have the self-awareness to just be like, hey, this isn't my thing. Like, how many comics do you know that have been doing it 10 years and you're like, you haven't just even marginally improved.
Stop.
How can you do something 10 years and not improve a little?
Right.
Slightly.
Yeah, even slightly. Like, you're still.
No, God bless those people, man.
It's a level of delusion that's almost, it's got to be comforting. Like, no matter what, you're just feeling good about yourself.
Well, you know, it's like, It's like when you have those bad shows and you're like, fuck, that fucking sucked. I mean, if that's all you have, like, how do you get yourself up to get to a show? The whole fucking thrill of going to a show is the anticipation of killing, right? Like, that's the whole thing we're seeking. That's the fucking heroin hit. If you never experience that, what are you even fucking chasing? Like, when a bomb happens, sometimes a bomb is like shocking to you because you're like, oh, I didn't expect it to go that bad, right? Like, you don't expect it to be a bad show. If all you have are bad shows, what are you chasing? Like, what's the feeling that you're taking? Because to me, that's the whole reason why you fucking do comedy.
Right.
Because it's like the drug thing. Yeah. It's like if you've never even experienced the high, why would you do that to yourself? Because fucking, like you said, driving to the gig and waiting, none of that's fun. You want to be dropped on stage. And if when you're dropped on stage, you're like, everyone's looking at you like they want to fucking kill themselves. You hear people moaning. They start loudly talking about the bill. Like, if that's all you experience, why would anyone do it?
Yeah, I don't get it. I follow this guy on Instagram, and it's a Jewish guy, and he's in Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. Guy plays several instruments horribly. Like, he plays the guitar. Yeah, and he knows the whole song.
Right.
But he's just slightly off
on everything.
It's the rhythm, the continuity, because the song that he's trying to play. And then I saw other videos. He's at the drums and he sucks on those too. And then he's like everything. But the guy, you could tell he's been playing for years because he knows the whole songs.
Right. But does he have a following?
I don't think I checked, like,
because that's the thing about the fucking content is, like, if for some reason people are following him, he'll convince himself that he's doing good.
Well, that's the reason why I quit, was watching him, because I was like,
I don't want to be that guy.
I don't want to be that guy, because then I become like the comedy guy that you just said, the comedy person that just keeps going, shows and open mics and years, and just. Like, it would be nice to, like, you tell them, like, you're supposed to get laughs.
You ever watch somebody bomb so bad that you, like, are almost embarrassed you're on the same show?
Yes.
You know what I mean? You're like, I want to leave right now. This is, like, especially in, like, the clubs in New York, where it's like kind of a fucking Wednesday night. It's not like, it's not a big show night. It's like a showcase type night. If you like go on those and you watch like 3 people like that, you're like, oh God, I feel embarrassed to be here. Mm-hmm. And look, we've all, like, early on, we've all been there. We've all been that comic at some point, like, just fucking eating shit while, like, other people are waiting to go on. But after a while, you're like, oh God damn it, why am I here? Watch somebody eat shit that badly. I watched a Hasidic Jewish guy do his first set of comedy once. And all he talked about was, like, his life, because he had never left, like, the community. And I want to say he was doing, like, a bringer spot. Like, they made him, bring. And I'm like, how did you even gather 7 people to leave? It was like a secret that he was out, right? Well, it was like his second time, I think. It was his second time doing comedy, and he got off. And I don't know why. I'm the fucking guy. I don't know what it is. I'm like the guy that everyone asks directions for in the street. And I'm also the guy that every fucking piece of shit comic comes up to and is like, hey, do you want to... What do you think about this joke? Like I'm always the guy that everyone thinks is going to be nice to them, and I'm like, and he's like workshopping joke. I mean, they're bad. Like, and he goes up and he eats shit. And he goes, that went better than the first time. And I was like, all right, well, I guess that's an improvement, And then he's sitting there and he's like, he picks out this fucking notebook that looked like a serial killer's notebook. It was just fucking tattered and had like ramblings on it and drawings and shit. And he's like, well, and I didn't say anything to him. And he just starts workshopping these jokes. I don't know what it is. I think I have a face like to ask for direction.
You have a pleasant face.
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true at all. I look tired and grumpy all the time.
No, I think Ken's right. I think you have like a
approachable,
approachable, trustworthy face. Like, you're not going to tell me the truth face.
Nobody approaches me.
Ken Ken's where you go when you want the hard answer. Tell me yes or no.
Yeah, you look the other way with Ken. You don't want him to like just say the truth when you didn't ask for it.
He's gonna let you have it.
Well, dude, thanks so much for coming on, man. When I reached out to you, you were like, the reason why I'm here is pretty interesting. I'm like, that could mean a million things. But I'm happy for you. You look good. You sound great. Like, you sound like you're fucking like just a happy dude, like, and you're living in your misery,
I'm just a guy trying to find my way, man.
Here's how happy quitting comedy makes people. Because this interview, Mark was just like, I don't ever want to live anywhere where there's no ocean, and I fucking hate casinos. So I moved to Vegas, and he's still happy.
And he's still happy. Yeah, he moved away from everything that makes him happy, but because he quit comedy, he's just still happier than everyone else.
Yeah. Listen, it's gonna happen soon. I keep waking up one day and figuring, it's gonna kick in. I'm gonna be like, you know what? I'm ready.
It'll come back. Yeah, it'll happen. And when it does, you'll be ready.
Yeah, and I'll have a ton of new jokes. I just I want to make sure that I miss it enough, and once I make the commitment to come back, then I'm back. Yeah. Listen, people have taken breaks before. I never took a break in 27 years.
You need them.
Yeah.
You need them.
No more than a week. I used to go away with my family and book shows when I was away. Mm-hmm. Now I look at people that do that. I'm like, just enjoy your family.
Yeah. Sometimes your trip gets booked and you're like, what can I do while I'm out there?
Just enjoy your first wife.
People call me. They're like, hey, I'm heading out to Vegas for, I got a couple of shows in Vegas. What else is there? Do you know any other places I could perform? I'm like, well, why don't you just do your shows and enjoy Vegas? Right. What do you have to do 7 shows in 2 days for?
Because otherwise you're just fucking sitting there, You're just like,
It's constantly massaging the ego.
Yeah.
Trying to get to know more people when you're out here. It's like, dude, do the 2 shows. You know what I'm saying? Kill each show.
Yeah.
It's not like New York. People think that every place is like New York.
Well, that's it. That's the thing. That's the mentality is like, how can I jump on? Yeah. How do I in this town buzz around and do 6 spots? That's a mentality, but it's like slow down.
I know you're trying to leave, but I'll just say one thing. I did go to a show. It was like one of those Wednesday night shows that we used to do in New York, like in a borough. This was in like Vegas, a shady area. You know what I'm saying? It was once again in front of like, just like New York, like 8 people, 10 people.
Yeah.
In like a restaurant thing. And it was a lot like New York. And I was like, I didn't leave New York to do this here. Like, this is what it is. I don't want to do it no more.
I didn't come out here to do the worst kind of comedy shows, because those are the ones in New York that you do because you feel like you have to, but they're not like why you do it. But if that's what, you didn't come out to do the Wednesday night shows.
No. And there's a lot of that.
If you're going to do it, do the fucking,
here.
Yeah, you need, if you're going to do it, come back strong and do the
what there isn't here is there's places. No Knights of Columbus 3-person shows. There's no Atlantic Beach shows like those. At least I don't know of them where we're going to do a golf course. We're going to do
pop-up type shit. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like kind of, we live off those shows. That's our bread and butter. Do you know what I'm saying? During the regular season, you're lucky if you get 2 of those in one weekend.
Yeah, because they pay.
You made decent money.
Yeah.
You did a lot. You worked some time out. Now you could do your regular spots during the week. Those things are like, it's either you're like kind of sort of in a casino doing shows at the comedy club, or you're doing the other. Unless I'm completely.
There's venues, but there's no scene. It's not happening everywhere. There's just a few venues that do it, which is, I think, the case for a lot of places. There's not like a comedy scene in most places. LA and LA and New York ones are different from each other, but there's this comedy scene. There's a lot going on at once. There's comedy shows happening everywhere, and all the comics that are, they need more than just the comedy clubs are giving them. So they make their own shows. It's like, you need a lot of comics there to do that though.
Yeah. You need a lot of people. You don't have as many good ones. There's a lot of new ones here.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how you start here, because if you don't see the progression, I guess the progression is to get the fuck out of here, to go to LA, or to go to Austin, or to go to New York.
Austin now, that's true. Now there is like a budding.
At least, because LA, I don't know, LA's not what it used to be.
Right.
Anyway, Ken, you just got married, right?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I was divorced and married in a 9-day span.
Oh, really?
Is that fucking hilarious? So Ken came in here and I didn't know his like marital status, and I was like, "So you're married, right?" He's like, and he went, and I was like, "Oh shit, this is gonna be a weird answer." Because he
got me in that 9-day window before, like in between divorce. You know the funniest.
Can't stay on the market too long, man.
A single life wasn't for me.
He was getting divorced. Imagine that. It only took him 9 days to meet a girl, romance her, and for her to say yes to marriage within 9 days.
Well,
man. I know.
I've been separated a long time. This was a paperwork thing. You know, it was like the paperwork took a long time.
Well, Mark, thank you so much, man, for coming on.
Thanks for having me, man. All the best to you guys. I'll let you know when I'm back in the East Coast, man.
Yeah, please do. Please do, man.
And let me know if you're coming out to Vegas.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. This is a bit too much. Thanks, guys.
Bye.